through it now. Machlokas here seems to be between the Toras Chacham, and he says Va'imei, and the Shemen Sasson. So let's look up at the top. We're on page Taf Kuf Mem Zayin. And it says, Rei Gam Masha Kosev Hadivr Shalom, Shazun de Seder Zmanim, Zun de Seder Zmanim. Shazera Betoli Biyad Yisrael, Kamasha Kosev. So the Tikkun for, I guess, Zun of the Zmanim is really in our hands. Asher Tikra Osam B'Muadam, that you would call them out at their seasons. So Osam, so Atem, it's written instead of Osam, it's written Atem, it's short of a Vav. Ksiv l'chein higira bechem kol kach pagam, so he says because that Vav is represented a tremendous amount of pagam, so it was a greater pagam in the Moadim. Let me read it again. So he says it depends on us. So he said, so in order to make a tikkun in the Moadim, so let me read on. So it was worse in the concept of the Mu'adim, or he has the seasons. Mashba zun the Seder Zmanim, the Sakin Mu'adim Davka. So this is Mashba, he says, that the Zmanim only come for the Mu'adim. That's where the Tikkun takes place in. The Zun the Seder Yomim, the Sakin B'Shar Yemos Shana is Mesukan in the rest of the days of the year. Davka. So he said, V'zun de Seder Yamin, Nisan B'Shar Yemos Shana, Davka. So there's like a split. V'gam b'zech v'movin the time shenikra ozach b'rashas b'shem Seder Zmanim. Why does he call it Seder Zmanim? Why didn't he, like I want to say, I'm going to call it Seder HaMuadim? So he says, B'rashas b'shem Seder Zmanim, Masha ein came the Shita Toras Chacham v'imei. He said, what do they think? You should call it like that, the cycles of the years. Because it's not specifically only in the times of, in other words, the Shmitos has to do with the whole year, not just the holidays. Okay, so different ideas on this. Let me get a little drink here. And so he writes like this: Nimsa, according to the Shitas of the Toras Chacham, and Nizker v'di'imei, b'chol kavanas a Pesach b'tefidach of the matzos of a mitzvahs aleil haseder, yesh the kavan nesakim parts of zun the klalos oshana the yomim v'dezmanim gam yachad. According to the Toras Chacham, you have to do them both at the same time, instead of them being split in any way. The Shitas are another two separate kavanos. So instead of two separate kavanos, you mix the kavanos. Vivid v'shitas of Shemen Sasson v'dimei, b'chol kavanos of Pesach b'tefidach of the mitzvahs leil seder, yesh l'kavan d'saking rock the parts of zun the zmanim davka. So that's what he said. He says, because this is a special time, and I think we saw this elsewhere, or just a thought, I guess, from the Shemen Sasson, that it's subsumed, that the days are subsumed in the holiday. The V'masha Kosev Shemen Sasson b'chinach u'kalel is called the Shana, he b'chinach zmanim. So he says the yearly cycle is really part of the Zman cycle. Yesh the histafek im KAVANOT shachatikun hu b'parts of the zun the klalos Shana the Zmanim, if that's what he's trying to say. Osher KAVANOT the zun the klalos Shana who atzma parts of the Zmanim, that it itself. I don't think I understand this. Shekavanis the zun the klalos Shana, the zun that we're going to talk about, or that we said we could talk about, the tikkun that takes place. There's a zun that goes over the whole year. Who atzma parts of Zmanim, that is actually part of the parts of Zmanim. So we have these two ideas, the parts of Yomim and the parts of Zmanim, which we haven't really dealt with too much. So now the next one is another section, is Pesach Tikkun Penimiot Haolamot. So he says, so once again, that says, Be'inyan Masha Amro B'Zohar, of Arayim Mahemna, and he says this is in Zohar and Bishpatim, of a Tikkunim, also Tikkun Kaf Aleph. etc. Pesach de Roa Yamina Chesed. So now we're looking at this in terms of the holidays. So it's the holiday, it's a moed, it's a zman. He says it represents the right arm. V'inyan zman zer shal chag Pesach hu kolu gam as sfiras ha'omer v'chag ha'shavuos k'noide b'drash ha'rav zal shacham b'mochan and nimshacham b'Pesach chozin b'mechan b'omer. They come back that were extended in Pesach and they stopped. He said, "V'choyzach b'mechan b'omer v'nishlam b'chag ha'shvuos v'zecha yivur v'gam eze Tikkun b'inyan dechet ad ha'rishon." So here we can see what is the Tikkun actually taking place here in ad ha'rishon asif yom elu. It's actually happening on these days. Now he's talking about the right side. Because of RASHASH b'nar shalom, he said, "V'zeh shekol zeh l'shalom ki kol zeh ha'betikun hana'asach v'pasach v'ad shavuos." Who the Saken Chet Ad Rishon Shehoy Ben Neshamos. So his set was in Neshamos. Neshamos means Penimiot. Sheben Nisan Nivro, because that's when the Neshamos were created. I think that's what he means. Sheben Nisan Nivro, that's when the Neshamos are created. Shehem Penimiot Haolamot HaNikra B'Klalos Chesed. So all of these ideas, he says that the Penimiot is also called Chesed. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. It could make some sense. Shuhu kav yomim of the klalos kol Haolamos, which is the right line of all the Haolamos. So he says this is the concept of Penimiot. But be'erech chitzonius Haolamos anikru b'klalos gevura. So he says like that: you have an inside, you have an outside. Sheberosh Hashanah nivru, because those that chitzonius, I guess he's talking about, which is the gevura, is created on Rosh Hashanah. Shehu small the klalos called Haolamos, which is the left line of all the worlds. Interesting. V'devar of sovavim al masha kasav v'rav zechah b'shach KAVANOT. What did he write? He says in the Drashi Rosh Hashanah, he said, "Rabbi Idim achlokas Rebbe Elazar Rabbi Yeshua. Shedadas Rabbi Yeshua shebenesa nivra olam." He holds that. L'dadas Rabbi Elazar b'tishrei nivra olam. Because of Rav Zachar b'sham she'elu ve'elu divrei Elohim Chaim, ki kol echad behem diba b'bechina acheres. V'sham behem shechadrash kasav shemen metishrei ad adar hu bechinas the erikant zer anpin, Nisan ad elo is the bechinas of Malchus. So now we're entering into Malchus. We've seen this drush before. V'od kasav sham. So also it writes like this. Shebakol Haolamos yesh chitzonius Penimiot shehem b'agufim v'raneshamos. No. V'chein echad min hatanoim diba b'bechina cheres. Each one, call echad min hatanoim, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, are actually talking about a different part. V'lezecha v'Rebbe Elazar omer b'tishrei nivra. So what is he talking about? Ki diba b'bechina so this is talking about the Indian, where the mochin are first coming into Zer Anpin. So he's saying, okay, so let's see. I get a little confused in this now. So this coming into Zer Anpin, no problem so far. So he said, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Nisan, so here he says that this is where the mochin right now the mochin are coming into the nekeva. Al shasayim marchu shelo kibul memorial zal be'ezer bechina mechem nisakenes and nekeva gavat achida be'ezer bechina nisandek azachar b'techila. So I'm not sure what that meant. So this was a little confusing to me. I was expecting him to say something else. Let me go. I want to go back to something he said over here. So we're going to be on the last word on the line is va'od. Va'od, he says, kasav sham shebakol Haolamos yesh chitzonius Penimiot shehem hagufim v'haneshamos. So up to this point, I can understand that, no problem. V'kol echad min hatanoim diba b'china acheres. So far so good. L'zev Rebbe Eliezer omer b'tishrei nivra ki diva b'bechina sheba neknas in the mochin kodem b'zer anpin. So this is a concept where the mochin originally go into zer anpin. So Zer Anpin, I guess, is the focus here, and that's why it's called the male part of the world, I guess, of the cycle of the year. He's a Kodim B'Zer Anpin. So he's a Rabbi Yeshua Omer B'Nesan Nivra Ki Diva B'Bechinas Shabbat Niknasan Emochim Kodim B'Nekeva. So the lights really are rent into the cave. Now, when you're talking about that, it means that there's already been a Nasira. There's a Nasira, or this is the process of the Nasira. El Shasayim Amarchu Shalo Kibel Memoro Zal Be'ezeh Bechina Mechem Nisakenes and Nekeva B'Techila Uve'ezeh B'Techina Azachar B'Techila. So what is it? I'm not sure what Bechina he's talking about gets them started. I'm not sure that I understood that. Maybe you do. I don't know. So we have, what's time-wise? We have 3 minutes. We maybe do this paragraph. Gossip Rishach B'Nar Shalom. The Rashash writes like this. This is the Rashash now. And when you're talking about that, so she gets mochin upon it first. Then after that, they go back into Zer Anpin. Is that what he means? But that's in the mochin upon him. So first they go into the nukva, and then they go into Zer Anpin. The dugmas, so what does that actually mean? It means the mochin go into Zer Anpin, and for Zer Anpin they go into the nukva. Dugmas hakavanas and mikriya shema ad ba'ava. It's similar to what you had over there until you reach ba'ava, which is where the mochin the godless come in. I think, yes, of l'chein. Kasav shaham shachas a mochin b'leil b'Pesach. That what's happening on Leil Tov Yom Rishon the Pesach, the Zun. Shehem b'bechinas sad ben hanikra nukva. It's from the sad. I think he means of the name Ben hanikra nukva the Zun, which is the nukva of the Zun. A colon the shana, a colon the Zun, a colon the shana she'avro. So he said because according to the previous year, v'heim hamochin the panam and eknasim ben nukva tequila. This is the mochin the panam. They come into the nukva to begin with. The לפי שעה שהגדילה לתכלס גדולוסה לפנים, כדי שתיקן ברשיבך לכל המוחים. I'm going to read this again tomorrow. כדי שיהיה לך בפסיס, לך בבנות בפנים, להיבנוס בפניהם או בפנים, הידו כנזכה בעמידה דחול. I have to look at this again. וכמו ששם לאחר מכאן מסתלקים במנדך בכל המוחים, so we know this is the Sira process at the end. Kahu gam b'muadim shalachar leil Pesach mistalkim kol lemochim v'hozach adikona v'zer anpen gesidren mat. So we'll go back over that. There's some things in the middle that I couldn't get real fast, and we actually have like 1 minute. Let me go back then. So he says. In the middle, he says, Dugmas hagavanas mikriya shema ad ba'ava. So that's when mochin the godless come in. I'm not sure what was happening up until that time was mochin the godless. The henkasa shaham shachas a mochin b'leil Pesach v'yom rishon the Pesach the zun. Shehem b'bichin is the sad ben hanikra nukva the zun, which is called the nukva part of the zun. That's the ben. HaKolonim the bezun HaKolonim the shana she'avar, which has to do with the last year, because last year you actually have a tie on the night of Pesach between what was the one part of the year and now it's going to the different part of the year. Is that what it means? Tzad ben anikra nukva the zun HaKolonim the shana she'avar, which is from the last year. V'hein hamochin the panim aniknasim benukva Techila, those are the mochin that went originally into the nukva. Fi shah, according to that time, or that moment, lahagdila tachlis gudulosach the panim, or the panim, kadei shetikach rishima the kol hamochim, kadei sheyechalom etzias lahavana befanim. So I got to look at it again because I don't have this. I don't know befanim. I don't know if it's bifnim. I don't know what it is yet. I got to look at it, digest it a little bit better. So we'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Call Toras.